Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sri Tips here, and what I have here is a bag of gold-filled scrap. I've been saving this up for, well, since last time I did this, probably 6 months ago, and we got a weight on this bag of 2,216 grams. Most of this, probably half of this, is going to be non-gold-filled material such as steel springs and stones and things like that. Over here, I've already started taking some of the material apart. If you look right here, this is some gold-filled material that's had all the steel springs, the stones, anything that's not gold-filled, just metal right here, has been collected. And that's what I'm going to do with this bag of material here. I'm not going to do it on camera, though. It just takes too long. If you look down here, this is a pile of watch band covers that I've taken off one by one, and it's going to have gold-filled material on one side of it. And so what we're going to do is go through all the rest of this material in this bag and process it just like we have here. Just going to dump this out right quick and take a look at what we got here. Good Lord, this is stuff that we've been saving for, I don't know how many months, but it's all gold-filled material. And I'm going to have to go through it and sort it all out and get it all cleaned up. Thankfully, these are some nice pins that have already been, they're just gold-filled pins. I can put them right in our pile over here. But all the rest of this stuff in this pile right here, I'm going to have to go through it and sort it all out and clean the stuff up and get all the non-gold filled material sorted out of these pieces, piece by piece. These are two charms, came off the same bracelet, and neither of them is marked, and I don't know which one is gold filled and which one might be gold plated. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of the 14K test acid and observe what happens. And here you can see the one on the right over here has already eaten through and got to the base metal underneath the thin gold plating that's on here. This one is just sitting there and not reacting. What that tells me, it's safe to conclude that this one here is going to be gold-filled material, which is a thick coating of karat gold over brass. Notice that the acid did not wear through. This one is gold-plated and should not be included with our batch of gold-filled scrap. I've got about 6 hours invested in sorting through all this material. This stuff down here is easy to sort out. It took maybe, an hour to get this all sorted out and cleaned up. But this stuff back here, these are the watch band caps, and they have to be removed from the steel backing that they come on. That's why I have so many of these watches. I tend to not want to do these and save them. But let me show you what has to be done here. Here, if you look on the back of this, it says 1/20th 10K RGP. That means rolled gold plate. But there's a steel insert in here that has to be removed. You can't put that steel in the batch of gold-filled scrap. You got to exclude the steel. So we got to pull all these tops off of here. And the way you do that, I just grab a pair of cutters and just go down the line and pull all these tops off. Getting this stuff sorted out and ready for the acid is a giant pain. But if you're after clean metal, this is what has to be done. And like I said before, that's why I've got so many of these watch bands. I shy away from doing them, so I save them up and just let them set. I put on some good music or a good video on my phone and listen to that, and then go through and get all these stainless steel watch back tops, watch band tops pulled off. See that steel piece there is thrown away and excluded. So there's only going to be one side that is gold filled, but they're filthy, full of dirt. And so what we'll do is we'll put these in the ultrasonic cleaner and get most of the dirt off in the ultrasonic. Like I said before, I've got probably 6 hours invested. So now what I'm going to do is just continue. I'm going to try to get through this whole group here so I don't have any more of these watch bands facing me in the future. These items have been in the ultrasonic now for about 20 minutes or so. Now what we're going to do, got most of the dirt off of them. We'll just give them a quick rinse in some hot water. And next time you see this stuff, it'll be dried off and ready to put in the acid. I've got all the gold-filled scrap cleaned up, got it up on the heat drying off. Now what we're going to do is we'll get a weight on this beaker with a little water in it, and we'll record the weight right on the side of the beaker, and then this will allow us to get a weight on our gold-filled scrap so we can calculate a yield. Here's a look at our gold-filled scrap. All the non-gold-filled material has been removed from this. So now what we're going to do is add some of this into this melt dish here, and we're going to incinerate it before we put it in the acid. Incinerating the material before we put it in the acid is important. We want to burn off any oils or greases that might be on the scrap, or any other combustible material, plastics, paper, or other such material, before we put it in our reaction beaker. As we burn this, we want to keep an eye out for anything that produces a flame, like that right there. We want to avoid melting it, because then the gold coating on the brass will tend to alloy with the metal and make our recovery a little bit more difficult. We also want to keep an eye out for anything that melts just by the heat of the melt dish. That tells us we've got lead present. Now let's reweigh our beaker with our material in it. And we've got 2,914 grams. That means we have 1,100 grams of incinerated gold-filled material in here. So now we're going to get set up and dissolve out all the base metals out of the gold-filled material in our beaker. I've got a separatory funnel full of a half a liter of 68% nitric acid up here. I'm going to pull the lid off of this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start a flow down into our gold-filled scrap. Just want to drip, just like that. This is quite a bit of material. I'm going to add a little bit more water so that we have a medium for the dissolved base metals to dissolve into. I'm going to add a little heat. And now what we'll do, everything's cold right now, but I'm going to add a little bit of nitric acid directly straight on in so that we can get this reaction started. I'm going to add about 50 milliliters of nitric acid. First half-liter charge of nitric acid has been added to our gold-filled scrap. What I'm going to do is pour this off now. I'm using welder's gloves because it's hot and I don't have anything else to pick this up with. Now we're going to add some distilled water to this, and we're going to set it back up on the heat. I'm going to add a small charge of nitric right on into the reaction to get it to jump start just a little bit. This is the second 500 milliliter dose of nitric that we've added to the gold-filled material now. I'm going to pour this off. And we're going to go for another dose of hot nitric acid on our gold-filled scrap. Add some water. Set it back up on the heat. Reach up here and get the plug. And now what we'll do is get it angled into our reaction here. Start a drip of nitric acid down into our gold-filled scrap. While our gold-filled reaction is going on here, I've got another reaction to do here. I've got some karat gold that's been quartered with silver. So we'll be doing two reactions at once in our fume hood here. Added some distilled water. I'm going to put this up on the heat. This is about 2 troy ounces of pure gold that I expect to recover from this quartered gold back here. Now we're going to add some nitric acid and start pulling out the base metals out of our quartered gold. The foam on this one's getting a little high. As you can see there, I've got a pretty fast drip of nitric going in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this back just a little bit. Slow it down just a touch here. There we go. Now we just got a steady drip. Should calm that reaction down a little bit now. I noticed my karat gold over here is getting a little high on the beaker, so we can knock that down by shooting a little water in there. The trick with these nitric acid reactions is to get the nitric acid in contact with the metal as quickly as possible and safely as possible without doing it so fast that we cause a boil over and make a big mess for ourselves. To the last little bit of nitric flowing into our reaction here, I'm just gonna drain it on in. What I'll do is just let this boil now until all the nitric that's in here gets consumed by our scrap, and our karat gold back here needs some attention. All the nitric has been consumed in that reaction. So let me remove our nitric delivery device here. Get it out of the way. This is one of our silver jars. I'm going to pour off this solution over here. This reaction is complete. I don't want folks to get confused. This reaction here is not part of our gold-filled reaction. I threw this in here, so I kind of threw you a curve here, but I'm trying to do two things at once here. And I've got a limited space in my fume hood to do it. This is karat gold that we're refining. I've quartered it with silver. That was the first nitric acid boil. So we're gonna add some distilled water, put it back up on the heat, and now what I'll do is add some nitric acid to it, and we'll keep trying to pull all the silver and base metals out of that karat gold that's been quartered with silver. We've had 1.5 liters of nitric added to our gold-filled material now. I'm going to get down in here with a glass rod. We're going to take a look and see how this stuff is looking. Oh yeah, look at that. That's our gold foils beginning to form as the base metals and base metals, I should say, just the base metals are being dissolved out of there and leaving the foils in the shape that the piece of jewelry used to be in. So we're making some nice progress here. I still got quite a bit of base metal that has to be dissolved out of here. I can feel the weight, but we're coming along nicely. I've got this going at a pretty good rate here. We're about halfway done with the nitric additions, so it's not as critical to add it slowly. Most of the base metals have been dissolved out of our gold-filled scrap, so we can put that nitric in a little quicker. We got our fourth charge of 500 milliliters of nitric acid into the reaction beaker now. That only took about 10 minutes to do that. Like I said, most of the base metals have been removed out of here. So now I'm going to take our delivery device out of the way. Now what we'll do is we'll let the acid boil on our gold-filled scrap and allow it to chew up as much of those base metals and remove them as we can. Alright, this is looking superb. Let me get down in here and see how these foils are looking. Oh yeah, look at that. They're lightweight now. Just hollow shells of what they used to be. So this is looking real good. What I need to do is keep going with this though. So what I think I'll do is I've got a little bit of nitric in here, a little bit of silver. Over here I've got boiling nitric acid on my karat gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cross-pollination here. And we're going to add this boiling nitric right into our gold-filled material to keep dissolving out the base metals out of this material. I gotta watch out adding this. I might create a boil over. Should be good enough. Yeah, that's hot nitric going in there, so. But as you can see, most of the base metals have been dissolved out of here now, so you can add that acid in a lot quicker. Okay, I've got a fairly stout reaction going in here, and I'm going to add the rest of the nitric from our carat gold into our gold-filled scrap reaction here. I think it can take it. Now what we'll do is I'm going to add some distilled water to this, set it back up on the heat. It's come in pretty handy. It was perfect timing to be able to use the nitric boil in our gold-filled scrap. It just kind of happened like that. I didn't time it like that. It just kind of happened for me. This is our 5th and final nitric acid boil. And what I'm going to do is it's synced up perfectly. And I think what we're going to do here is I got away with it earlier. So we're going to try to add this boiling nitric into our gold-filled material because we need more acid in there. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Should have just about quite a bit, most of the base metals out of our gold-filled scrap now. So adding this boiling nitric should not be a problem. But you never know. You never know. It's a pretty healthy reaction going there. Yeah, the fact that this is reacting like this confirms that we need to keep going with these nitric acid boils to get all of the base metals dissolved out of our gold-filled scrap. But it's looking pretty good now. I mean, the longer we spend here boiling in the acid, the easier the refining will be later on when we go to dissolve this in Aqua Regia. Here's our carat gold material. It's looking real good. Here's our carat scrap. It's ready to refine in Aqua Regia now. Looking real good. Here's our gold-filled material. And it's getting kind of late. So what I think I'm going to do is call it here. We're going to make this a 2-part video. We're going to continue the recovery of the gold-filled scrap gold foils in part 2. Okay, this will conclude part 1. Thank you for watching.